Sports and entertainment attorney Exavier Pope joins me now to talk a little bit more about this. Exavier, I have to say this is one of the situations where I think people are getting worn down. You know, I'm sad to see this happen because I know times are tough and everything. What happened? Why could they not come to some kind of agreement on this?
Well, a lot of people confuse the NFL lockout situation with the NBA lockout situation. It's not the same. Okay. The NFL is in a much better place than the NBA. A lot of teams are struggling in the NBA, and so the NBA team owners, they really needed to have something that would benefit them because a lot of teams were bleeding money. You see the NBA take over the New Orleans Hornets, and so the NBA players, they wanted to have it their way, and so this is where we lead to now, essentially.
Is part of the problem? We already have a bit of a cap. They have a salary cap now. So what kind of differences? What are the issues here? Are they just these huge salaries at one end? Is it just out of balance?
Well, the NBA, based on the current economy, wants to reduce the cap, and the players are not too fond. Of course not. They don't want, right. They don't want to not be able to make money. Fond of that. And the NBA players also wanted to increase the average salary to $7 million when the NBA owners were down at $5 million, so that was a pretty big difference, $2 million a player. So,
so what's caused this shortfall? Is it just that fewer people are watching basketball, or what's the deal?
Quite the opposite. Actually, this year with the Heat, the new renewed fan interest in the NBA, it's the best attendance in years, actually. And actually, the NBA owners and the players are actually squandering this perfect opportunity, a boon in the league, essentially, to have all the fans that have come back this year. And so it's unfortunate. So it's not necessarily fans who have left the game. Fans have come back to the game.
So why are these teams struggling? Is it poor management? Is it just they have too many high salaries? I mean, why are they struggling? Fans are coming back. I mean, something doesn't jive here.
Well, some of the teams are being poorly run. And like the NBA and the NFL just are a different situation. Like I said, the NFL teams they have the cap is spread throughout different teams, and so you can have a team like the Green Bay Packers be successful in a small market. You can't have some of the same successes with the NBA team because the financial situation is a little bit different. So.
And I guess smaller markets make a bigger difference as it relates to how much money they can get, the ad revenue that they can get.
Exactly.
And and I understand that. So what do we see happening here? How long? Is there any give, or do you see this being long term, or?
Unfortunately, this is going to be long term.
Wow.
I don't think that this is going to be worked out overnight. There's a huge gap between the owners and the players. Essentially, we're going to probably miss games. There's in the summer league that happens in July. That's canceled. That's not going to happen. We have some training camps. That's probably not going to happen as well. It's going to probably affect some preseason games as well. So we could see a protracted lockout for some time.
What overall effect do you see this happening on the NBA?
Actually, 1998, you saw fan interest decrease mightily, actually, in the NBA, and I think that they're going to experience some of the same effects because fans are, frankly, they're fatigued. You have the NFL lockout and now the NBA lockout.
Poor timing in that case, too.
Poor timing.
And you know what? The big salaries these days are not in vogue because people are losing their jobs and they don't get their money. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Sometimes it's not, you don't think it's as cool when, you can't feed your family.
Right. And people are saying, you suck it up. You guys are being paid millions of dollars. Come to the table and make some sort of agreement.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Exavier, for helping to break it all down for us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And joining me now to talk about this is Exavier Pope. He's an attorney who represents athletes and owner of the Pope firm. So will we see football anytime soon?
We will absolutely see football soon, Marianne.
All right. So do you think that there is the will here at the very least?
Absolutely. I think that, within the last week, players and owners have started to hammer out all the different pieces of an agreement, and each day you see a different development in the actual proceedings, and we're pretty much at the last hour of getting things done. And we see today that the players are supposed to vote actually on a deal, but they actually didn't have the completed CBA to actually vote today, and that's the reason why they actually didn't vote today.
Oh, really? But they sound like they have their board is there, so when the board is there, they can send it all, which is that shows some good faith, right?
That's absolutely correct.
Who's going to be sort of is there a winner or loser of this, or is this true negotiations? Is this kind of split down the middle?
This is actually true negotiations. I think that the owners came to the table and say, listen, we're going to give you 48% of the revenues, and they also agreed not to have revenues dip below 46.5% over the next 10 years. They also agreed to increases in rookie salaries and second-year players, and they've also agreed to long-term health insurance for the players for their lives, which is a big deal.
That's
and
huge.
This is brand new, and so this helps address a lot of the issues with the players previously.
Especially as you see what happens to some ex-players and how they're
Absolutely.
really having a lot of trouble with their
That's
health.
absolutely
So
absolutely correct.
It's actually nice to see that one. So how are the fans reacting to this whole lockout in general? Because it doesn't help that the NBA isn't doing so well either. How are fans feeling about what's going on with professional athletics?
I think that in the NFL, fans are ready to have their fantasy drafts. They're excited to get into football. The dynamics of the NFL are a little bit different. There's still time. No games are going to be missed.
Right.
We have the Hall of Fame game between the Cleveland Browns and the Bears that is still going to be played. The NFL's Super Bowl may be off by a week potentially. That's it. Where the NFL, the NBA situation is a little bit different,
Yeah.
so might be longer.
That may be another day to talk about that. What about the antitrust suits with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady? Could that throw a wrench in the works? What is that all about?
Well, initially, we heard reports from the Boston that Tom Brady and Peyton Manning were asking for to become unrestricted free agents. They said that was not true. Their agents, Tom Condon, basically backed that up and said they were actually supporting the players. Drew Brees defiantly said that that's not what he was looking for. We heard reports that Vincent Jackson and Logan Mankins wanted to become either free agents or get $10 million as part of a settlement, but the players have voted to not have that part of any settlement with the CBA.
Okay, so they put it out of the way.
They put that to the side.
Okay, so he says it. We will see football.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Xavier.
Thank you very much, Marion.
Thanks for coming in.
You're welcome.
And sports and entertainment attorney Exavier Pope joins us to talk more about this. So what are the big sticking points here?
Wow, there are a lot.
Oh, there's lots.
There are lots of big sticking points. The major one is the basketball-related income. Basketball-related income, the players at the old agreement were at 57%, while the players were at, the owners were at 43%. Now, the owners want to get a little bit more of that pie, and now they want to bring that up to 53%. The players also want 53%, but now there's been recent reports that the players are actually looking to reduce it to 52%, and the owners have said that they've lost $300 of operating income every single year, so where the players are going actually reduces that amount another $200 million. So we're getting a little bit closer to where the sides are trying to reach, but the basketball-related income is important.
What does that mean? What is basketball-related income?
Basically, the amount of money that's received from the NBA,
from the gate, from the
gate
TV
and the games,
games.
exactly, basketball-related income.
So all of that. All right.
And that's a huge sticking point, and also the salary cap. So initially the NBA wanted to actually have a hard cap like the NFL. The NBA players fought back on that a little bit, and then the owners thought about having an NHL-style bin cap. And now that the players are actually proposing a luxury tax similar to what's in MLB. And so that's the sticking points currently at this point.
Okay, so there's quite a few, and they don't seem close. But they have a mediator. Is that a good sign, or?
Well, George Cohen, he's from the Federal Mediation Conciliation Service. He was appointed by President Barack Obama in 2009. Now, he's helped in the past to work with the NFL. He wasn't successful in mediation between the players and owners there. He was successful in also in soccer, actually helping to resolve that dispute. So he has some experience. He's actually been talking with the owners and talking with the players a little bit.
But mixed results.
Mixed results, and now today is bringing all sides together to see whether both parties can talk under one roof and see whether they can come to some kind of solution.
What's our deadline before we'll know whether or not more games will be canceled?
It's probably going to be today. It's 9 hours of talk so far today, so it's been a marathon talk. And after today, David Stern talked about canceling games until Christmas.
Wow.
The last time you had me on here, I said it would be a protracted lockout. It looks like
You said that. You did.
We are in that state now.
All right. Well, how far will fans take this? I mean, what kind of fan fatigue? Obviously, the people who make money off of basketball, the ticket vendors, the businesses near the stadiums, they're all hurting.
Absolutely.
Fans, I mean, how much longer do fans hold on and stick around?
Well, it's NFL season, it's college football season, so
there's
there's a distraction. But once we get to Christmas and we have that 1 month lull between bowl games, and then we'll have going toward the playoff season, fans will start to miss their NBA season. Usually Christmas is time for fans to wake up and casual fans actually tune in to the Christmas games. So that's when the casual fan will miss the NBA season.
Isn't that funny how we are? We have to have some sport to be watching, right? It's like, you better give me something.
This is America. We love our sports.
And we like our sports. Well, let's hope they can get something together soon. If for no other reason than the fans and the folks who are not making the big dollars off of the game can actually, see some money coming back.
How about the hot dog vendor?
The hot dog vendor, exactly. The guy who's trying to, sell T-shirts outside,
popcorn,
stuff like that.
Shooting T-shirts into the stands and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's what we need. All right, thanks so much, Exavier.
Thanks for having me once again.
Clear winter of the NBA, and that's not all. The players are now planning to file an antitrust suit against the league. Joining me now to break all this down is attorney Exavier Pope. First of all, do you think they have any standing in an antitrust sort of situation?
Yes, the players do have standing. Essentially, now they've decertified, and now that actually gave them the permission that they could file an antitrust suit, which they could not do currently as a union. They have two of the best antitrust attorneys in the entire country, David Boies, that actually was on the NFL owner side during the NFL lockout, and also Jeffrey Kessler that worked on the NFL lockout situation as well. So they had two attorneys on both sides of the NFL issue coming together, saying
on their side,
on the NBA player side now.
Wow, well that's interesting. So I guess that explains why they wanted to disband, because it seems like why would you give up your collective bargaining?
Well, essentially, that actually you have to go through that process in order to file the antitrust litigation as well. Now, they could have taken this process earlier. A lot of players wanted to decertify earlier, but they wanted to go through a process through the National Labor Relations Board to try to see whether they would be able to find some common ground with the players, with the owners, but that did not happen.
So they're being pretty methodical here then, clearly.
Pretty methodical. I do think some mistakes were made on the players' side.
Do you think it's a mistake to disband the union? I mean, because that's a big bet. I'm just curious.
It's huge, because I don't think the players are strong enough as far as the union is concerned, with all the backbiting you saw with Billy Hunter and with Derek Fisher, with saying that they can go through a protracted lockout for the end of the season, maybe into next season.
Right.
I don't think they can do it. I really think it was a tactic they should have employed a long time ago.
Right. All right. Now, what do you think their chances are? Well, it sounds like they've got great representation who knows how to go about it. But do you think is that a good option, do you think they made?
I mean, it was the only option they had.
Oh, really?
Essentially, what they did is play a game of chicken with the owners, where they took more and more and more off the table as far as the basketball-related income. And then the owners kept going, and said, well, we're going to take some more. And if you don't take this, we're actually going to take some more.
Wow.
And so the players they panicked, and essentially they took this route.
Okay, so what are the owners thinking at this point? What does that move do to the owners? Do they get nervous on this?
No.
No. Okay, so clearly they're in the catbird seat.
The only nervous feelings the owners have is obviously about losing the current money. Obviously, games are getting canceled.
Sure.
You have fan fatigue. We talked about this previously, times that I've been on here, that the NFL lockout, now the NBA lockout. The interest in the NFL is high right now, college football. People are saying, I've heard people tweet me, I don't care about the NBA. Let's not talk about the NBA, because the situation seems so dire. But the owners are in a good position. They can keep squeezing the players until something actually happens.
Wow, it's hard to believe there won't be an NBA season, but it looks like that's where we are, right?
I initially thought that February would be when the season would start. We still have some chances of that. The only thing with the certification process is now there have to be more steps taken to actually have a settlement of the antitrust litigation, and then in addition to that, come back and then have the union formed again and then have an agreement.
That sounds like a lot to do.
It's a lot to do.
I don't know if it's going to get done by February.
I don't know about that either.
All right. Thanks, Exavier. We appreciate your time.
Thanks again.
It is Exavier Pope, entertainment/sports lawyer. Exavier, are you there?
I am here. What's up, guys?
It is good to have you in studio, actually on the line. We wish you were in studio, but good to have you here on the Triple Threat Show, man.
Oh, wait, good to be back. Good to see you. Good to hear from you guys again.
Well, we'll get straight to the chase. The NBA union proposal rejection. We already know what happened yesterday, and now the NBA season is in jeopardy. First, we'll ask you the cliche question, when do you think this can be resolved, or what needs to be done? Well,
that's a convoluted question. I don't think anyone knows when that's going to happen. Well, we know that the games have been canceled at December 15th, so we know that at the very earliest, that's when games will come back. But being that the union has been formed as a disclaimer of interest, basically the negotiating as a negotiating body for the players to enable to file the antitrust litigation. In order for anything to move forward, first the case has to be settled, and then the union has to be reformed before a new CBA is negotiated and agreed upon by the players. So you have that whole process in order. And being that the litigation has just been filed in Minnesota, now it's been filed in California, you're looking at another 2 months without an NBA season, at least. I say February at the very earliest. That's my prediction, if the season at all, guys.
So we're possibly looking at a 1999 50-game season?
I think we might have even a more unique situation than that. At 99, the players had a lot more leverage at that time. You know, Michael Jordan had just retired, and so the league was in a high state, and the players used that to its advantage to get the 57-43 split in the BRI. Right now, the owners have a little bit more leverage on their hand because they've been able to convince the public, at least a little bit on their side, a little bit more, and fans are a little bit more against players than they were back then. And so I do believe that we're looking at possibly maybe a shorter, maybe a 35-game season.
Wow, 35 games. That's going to be hard to crunch for all NBA fans out there.
Yeah.
You know, Exavier, would you, looking at the NBA and its players itself, do you think that this lockout will diminish a lot of all-stars in the NBA, such as when we saw in 1999, a lot of people forgot about Vin Baker. Vin Baker was a great player, and after the lockout, he was finished. It affected Patrick Ewing as well after the lockout.
Right.
Do you see that happening if this lockout happens?
Well, if you look at Patrick Ewing's career, though, he was at the tail end of his career, and so those injuries obviously were a part of him not necessarily keeping in shape, because during the lockout, guys are traveling. They don't have the same type of structure as far as their trainers and individuals that take care of their bodies as they normally would. So it does affect some guys. Like Vin Baker had more going on in his body. He had some mental issues, if you guys might recall, as well. But it can affect some guys' careers where they're not as active and used to having that cycle. A lot of guys are pretty superstitious. I do this and I do this. It disrupts some of that, and it can actually affect some guys.
Yeah, it's a crazy situation, and a lot of it, it's mentally, obviously. You come back from a season, and Kobe Bryant definitely is not going to benefit from this at all, him being the age that he's at. I mean, we're going to see stars like that probably dwindle.
I agree. I think that but a guy like Kobe Bryant is smart. He's getting his rest, but he's working out. He's getting better. I'm not worried about Kobe Bryant as maybe some guys that aren't as disciplined in their workout regimens. Some of those guys may really suffer as far as the lockout is concerned. We're going to see a turnover in talent. Younger guys are going to be thriving in the league. The good thing about the league is in 1999, you saw a lot of the guys in Jordan's era were retiring at the same time. You had guys like Allen Iverson and Grant Hill coming into the league, but those guys had not come into their own yet. So there was a talent void in the NBA during that time, which drew fans away from the game. And then you also had the rule systems with the hand checking and all that actually took away from the game as well. So now the rules are designed to help the offenses, and you have a lot of guys like LeBron James and Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, Derrick Rose. Those guys in the league right now, they're already stars, they're already doing well. So from a talent standpoint, I think we're in a better shape now than we were in 1999.
Well, the NBA is going to do what it has to do, and the Players Association is going to try to get this resolved. We'll see what happens. It's a disturbing story, but not as disturbing as this Penn State scandal. And we just witnessed Bob Costa's interview Sandusky and his lawyer. First of all, have you seen that interview?
I've seen the interview, and if you don't cringe watching that, then something is wrong with you. I had to check my body for my skin to still be on it because it just crawled from listening to this creep on the air. 17 seconds of just absolute uncomfortable feeling as this guy. I mean, if someone asks you, guys, are you sexually attracted to young boys, you're going to be offended. You're going to say, oh, absolutely not. I should smack you with my glove for answering the question. But these Instead, this guy stammers around and finally comes around and says, "I love young people. I like being around them." You know, and that was disturbing. And he made his case worse. And this lawyer should be fired today.
His lawyer's disturbing too.
He's a creepy guy as well. But he gave him his blessing to come on television to give that interview, and the footage from that interview could be used as evidence at a trial against him.
Now, it's very disturbing, and anybody in their right mind would answer right away no, what you just said. But I mean, for him to take 10 seconds to say, "Oh no," I mean, it's definitely not something that's gonna help him out, because we're all critiquing it now. And Sandusky obviously being interviewed by Bob Costas. We got to give props to Bob Costas, because he is the most professional interviewer I have ever witnessed in my lifetime. I gotta say.
I tweeted this earlier today. Bob Costas asked every single question that we all wanted to know.
Yeah.
That you don't think that necessarily it would come out in an interview. He went straight for the jugular. He went direct. He was very professional about it. He went to get the answers that we're all seeking, and it was one of the best interviews I'd ever seen.
Yeah, it was a great job by Bob Costas. But again, you know, with the situation at hand, you know, he did ask every question that needed to be asked, and then he kind of smidged a little bit of his own opinion in there.
Yeah, he did. He said basically, I know you have to be judged by a jury of your peers, but frankly, everybody's looking at you like you're a monster, you know, and that's how we feel too. So in addition to asking the questions there, he put it out like, "Listen, we think you're a monster." So.
Yep, it's a crazy situation. It's kind of tiring to talk about, but again, the interview itself, it had to be put out there, and well.
Yeah. One piece I want to add to that, guys, is that a lot of Penn State. We saw it during. I don't know if you guys watched the Nebraska Penn State game, but they were running a sponsored spots by the president when he talked about, well, we are Penn State, and okay, we know we feel sorry for the victims, but we're going to move forward. Well, these guys are not going to be able to move forward because you have victims potentially could sue Penn State, the state of Pennsylvania, Joe Paterno, other parties that were involved. So it's going to take a long time for these guys to get over from a legal standpoint, as far as the civil case against is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, as far as a legal standpoint, this thing is kind of just getting started. I mean, there's going to be a snowball effect of things to come after this.
You guys haven't even heard the end of what's going down behind the scenes. I mean, you hear McQuarrie today come on and say, "Well, actually, I tried to stop it," and send an email to one of his buddies. And no one, their loyalties are breaking down.
Yeah.
This is one of his buddies. His buddies automatically tells the media, "No, I don't. This is a hot potato. I don't even want to deal with this thing," and leaks it. So.
It's a bad situation. We'll see what happens, and hopefully we can get over the hump, and prayers to all the families who were affected.
Absolutely.
Xavier Pope, it's definitely a pleasure to have you here on the Triple Threat Show, and we hope to hear from you soon, and hope to see some improvement from this NBA lockout, man.
Hey, let's get some games going. Let's get some popcorn guys their jobs back. Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, guys.
And that was Xavier Pope here on the Triple Threat Show on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. Again, he's a sports /